How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Mem Daled, Daf 44 of Masechta Kiddushin. Friends, how you doing there? Today we talk about some interesting stuff. Arguably. Can a naira be mekabelas kesef Kiddushin? I remember, was this like the first daf of Masechta Kiddushin? It talked about a naira that she has her own das. So I couldn't figure out from Rashi if that means that she could actually receive her own Kiddushin, or maybe in theory she can. It wasn't clear, and I said I wasn't sure. So it's taka machlekes. Can a naira be mekabelas kesef Kiddushin, or can only her father be mekabelas? That's the shaila. That's the shaila. So we're going to discuss that for a while. That's actually what we're going to discuss the whole daf, I guess. Ready, rock and roll? We're only going to get till about, halfway through Mem Daled and Beis. These dafs have been funny and stopping in funny places, and also obviously things are busy right now. It's in between the Yom Tovim, and there's just stuff happening all the time. People coming and going in different schedules, so things have been a little bit hectic, tiny bit hectic, and so as I get this, we're going to stop Mem Daled and Beis halfway through the Yom. All right. Fine. So we're going to start off Mem Gimel Amud Beis, halfway through the Amud. Ha'ish Mekadesh is Bito. Oh, so we said in the Mishnah that a fellow can be Mekadesh's daughter when she's a Naira, Bo V'shlucha, right? He could do it, the Shaliach can do it. Okay, fine. Very good. Here we go. Tanan Asim, we learned in Masechta Gittin. You guys like Masechta Gittin? You stomach, right? Naira Marasa. So if you have a Naira who is engaged, because of even a Ketana, once they're married, then the father is out of the parsha. She's married. She's a married woman. Even a Ketana, she's married, the father's out of the picture. But if she's engaged, so then the father's in the picture. So Naira Morasa Hiva Avia Mikablin as Gita. So she could receive her get. Her father could receive her get, because already from Erisin there would have to be a get. Amr Yehuda Ein Shtei Yadayim Zochis Ka'achis Ke'echad, and Rabbi Yehuda says nisht. Rabbi Yehuda says you can't. No, only one of them can receive the get. Elo Avia Mekabel as Gita, and that is her father. Her father receives the get. Naira Marasa, her father receives her get, not her. V'chol she'ein yichola lishmar as Gita, ein yichola lizkarish. And any woman who is not able to guard her get is unable to get divorced, right? Meaning, right? What does Rashi say? That the Rashi quotes the pasuk, says v'shilcha mibeso, right? That he sends her from his house. Mishum mishalcha ve'enu chazeres, right? He has to be somebody who you send her away and she doesn't come back. But if somebody, I imagine we're saying that, I guess if she's so young, or maybe for other reasons too, I don't know. But the point is, if she's, I think a ketana, I think that's the point. If she's so young that she doesn't know how to guard her get, and she's too young to get divorced, because she's considered somebody who will send her away, she'll come back. She just doesn't realize. Okay, so if she's not able to guard her own get, so then she's not able to get divorced. Now, Rish Lakish, now says Rish Lakish, Kemachlokes legerishin, kach machlokes lekiddushin. Oh, so now says Rish Lakish that just like there's a machlokes by gerishin, that by divorce the Chachamim say, or Yehuda says that only the father can accept the get, but the Chachamim say that either her father or she, the Naira Marasa, can accept her get. So the same machlokes is by Kiddushin, that the rabbis would say that a Naira, her father can accept Kesef Kiddushin for her, or she can accept her own Kesef Kiddushin. Rabbi Yechanan Omar machlokes legerishin, aval lekiddushin tevei hakol avia velohi. So now says Rabbi Yechanan nisht that by divorce, her father or her can accept the bill of divorce, the get, but by Kiddushin, says Rabbi Yochanan, everyone agrees only her father, a Naira, only her father can accept the Kesef Kiddushin, but not her. Rabbi Yossi Bab Chanina, my time with Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yossi Bab Chanina, how come Rabbi Yochanan says is that by Kiddushin, a Naira cannot receive her Kesef Kiddushin, but by Gittin, she can receive her get. Aliba de Rabbanan, according to the rabbis, Gerishin de Machneses Atzmo L'Rshus Ovia Ben Hi Uvein Ovia, Kiddushin de Mafkas Atzmo L'Rshus Ovia Velohi. That when it comes to divorce, when she gets divorced and now she's going back into her father's house, so her father's going to be okay with her receiving her own get, and now she goes back home. But by Kiddushin, where she's now leaving his house, so he's not going to be okay with her accepting the Kiddushin. Only he can accept the Kiddushin. So again, right? So Gerushin demachneses atzma l'shus avia. If she's getting divorced, right? She's engaged, she's nara morasa, and if she gets divorced, she goes back home. Her father is going to be okay with her accepting the get. But ben hiu ben avia, either she can accept it, her father can accept it. Kiddushin. But by Kiddushin, the mafkas atzma mershus avia, that when she gets engaged, when she gets betrothed, when she gets mikudeshes, meoreses, I miss anything? So then she leaves her father's house. So then he's going to be more particular. Avia v'lohi, only the father can accept the Kiddushin. She cannot accept her Kiddushin when she is a naira. Frag the Gemara, v'arei maimer, du. Well, do I even say that word right? Is it called mimer? Well, let me look it up. Yeah, mimer. So when it comes to mimer, so the mafkas atzma mershus avia. Oh, so what about mimer? Who can tell me what mimer is? Who can tell me what mimer is? Anybody ever heard of Masechta Yevamis? Anybody ever heard of Ruvain and Shimon and Sar? So Ruvain is married to Sar. Ruvain dies, they don't have any kids. So then Shimon needs to do Yibum with Sar. So Yibum Be'etzim he has Bia with her. However, we don't just do that. First of all, we don't do Yibum at all now, but even when there was Yibum, what they would do is first give Kesef Kiddushin. Even though Midoraisa it's nothing, so Midoraisa, it's called, and that's what's called Maimer when he gives her the Kesef Kiddushin. So when it comes to Kesef Kiddushin, Maimer by Yevama, the Mafkas Atzmo Mershus Avia, that if we're going to talk right now, we're talking about a Ketana or a Naira. So when it comes to Maimer, if you have Sarah, and Sarah is a Ketana or a Naira, and she was married to Ruvain, and so now she doesn't just go back to her father's house. She needs to do Yibum with Shimon. So now Vitnan, Kitana mina Erisin, that if you have a Kitana who is betrothed, right? If you have a Kitana who was she wasn't married to Ruvain, she was betrothed to Ruvain, and then Ruvain dies, right? If she was married to Ruvain, if there was Nisuin, then she has nothing to do with her father anymore. She was already married, she doesn't go back to her father, doesn't have Rishus over her anymore. But she was only from Erisin, and then Ruvain dies, and now Shimon is doing Maimer to this Ketana. So Ein Osim ba Maimer Elimidas Avia. So by a Ketana you can only do Maimer with her father's knowledge. But if Sarah is a Naire, so Bein Midas Atzma, Bein Midas Avia. So the Kiddushin could be either with the knowledge of her father or even just with her own knowledge. So we see that when it comes to Maimer from Erisin, where if she's a Naira, she's a Naira, so her father and her are both involved over here because she's a Naira. And we're saying that by Maimer, she can accept the Kesef, the money for the Kiddushin, for the Maimer, even without her father's knowledge. So we see that by Maimer, she can accept the Kiddushin. So how come we just explained, Rabbi Yochanan had explained that even though the rabbis say that by Gerushin, either her father can accept the Naira, either her father can accept the get or she can accept her own get, but the Rabbi Yochanan says that according to the rabbis, by Kiddushin, only her father can accept the Kiddushin because she's leaving the Rishos of her father. But by Maimer, where she is she was engaged to Ruvain, then Ruvain dies, now she's going back to her father's house, but there's a Zika, there's Yibum, and now Shimon's giving her Kesef Kiddushin, so it's also to take her out of her father's house, and we're saying that she can accept it. Why should that be any different than Kiddushin, where we say that she cannot accept it? So Elo Itmar, rather, scratch that. This is how to explain the distinction between Gittin and Kiddushin according to Rabbi Yochanan, according to Rabbi Yochanan's explanation of the rabbis. Rabbi Yossi I'm sorry. Eli Idmar Achi Itmar Amar Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. My time de Rabbi Yochanan Aliba de Rabbanan. What's pshat with Rabbi Yochanan explaining the Rabbi's opinion that by Kiddushin only your father can accept the kesef Kiddushin, because Kiddushin demidaita avia v'lohi gerushin debal korcha ben hi uvein avia. Well, when it comes to Gittin can be even against her will, right? She can get divorced even against her will. Right, he needs to say Rotza'ani, he needs to want to do it, but she can get divorced even if, he throws a get into her chutzner or something, right? She can get divorced. So it can be against her will, and therefore, there's less, there's more ways to get divorced, right? Because it could be even against her will. So, whether even he gives it to her father, whether he gives it to her, it's a divorce. But by Gittin, which requires, but by Kiddushin, which requires das, and is more particular, so only her father can accept the kesef Kiddushin, not her. But Hare Maimer demidaita v'katani ben hi uvein avia. What about Maimer? Maimer, we're assuming needs her das, and we're saying that she can accept it. Right? We're not saying, well, since it requires her das, it's more particular, and therefore only her father can accept it. No, we're saying by Maimer, it requires her das, and she can accept it. So Hasan b'maimer debal korcha v'rebihi. Actually, in that brisa by Maimer, we're talking about Maimer against her will. Shimon gave her the kesef of Maimer even if she didn't want to, and it's like Rebbe who says that works, and because it's against her will, that's why it could be whether her father or her. The Tanya is within the brisa osem Maimer b'yevimto. If a fellow does Maimer with, Shimon does Maimer with Sarah, Shalomi Daita, without her, knowledge or interest. Rebbe Omer Kana. Rebbe says that it works. V'chacham Omer Lo Kana, whereas the Chacham disagree and says no, it doesn't work. My time of the Rebbe. How come Rebbe says that it works? Because Gomer mi Bia the Yavama. Well, because he learns out Maimer by Yavama from Bia of a Yavama, right? By doing Yibum. Ma Bia the Yavama Bal Korcha, right? We learned out from V'yibma that it can be Afilu Bal Korcha, even against her will. Safachanami Bal Korcha, so even by Maimer with Kesef, it could also be Bal Korcha against her will. V'abonan Savre, whereas the rabbis who say that it cannot be against her will, Yafinu mi Kiddushin. We learn out Maimer, which is Kesef, from Kiddushin, which is done with Kesef. Ma Kiddushin demidaito, af hochanami demidaito. Just like Kiddushin needs her knowledge, so also Maimer needs her knowledge. What's the machlokas between Rebbe and the Chacham? How come Rebbe says that it could be against her will, whereas the Chacham say that it needs to be with her das? Rebbe savar miladi yavama mi yavama havalele melech. Well, Rebbe says, halachas of Yibum, Maimer is halacha by Yibum, needs to be learned out by Yibum. Therefore, since Yibum can be Bal Korcha, so Maimer can also be Bal Korcha. Rabbanan Savre, Kiddushin mi Kiddushin avle lemelef. Whereas the rabbis argue and say, no, Maimer is like Kiddushin, right? You're giving kesef Kiddushin, and therefore we learn it out from Kiddushin, which needs her das. And it also makes sense to say that Maimer is davka talking about, the case of Maimer is davka talking about when it is against her will, and that it's according to Rebbe, but that by Kiddushin in general, she would not be able to accept her own kesef Kiddushin if she's a Naira. Midiktani Seifa, because the end of that brisa by Maimer says, Masha'ein kain b'Kiddushin, which is not the case by Kiddushin. So that brisa says that by Maimer, it could be, she can accept her Maimer, but that's not the case by Kiddushin. Why not? Well, because Maimer is talking about against her will, whereas Kiddushin, we're talking about, we're talking about there where it can't be against her will, and therefore, she cannot accept her own kesef Kiddushin. So let's say then that this is Akash and Rish Lakish. Right? Rish Lakish had said that just like by Gerushin, a Naira can accept her get, so Oichid by Kiddushin, a Naira can accept her kesef Kiddushin. But here we have a brisa that's saying that, right, Masha'en can be Kiddushin, that she cannot accept her kesef Kiddushin. So it's Akash and Rish Lakish. Amalach Rish Lakish will say Amani Rabbi Yehuda. No, that brayse which says Masha'enkin b'Kiddushin, that is Rabbi Yehuda. The Amri Ein Shtei Yadayim Zochis Ke'achas. That Rabbi Yehuda says that you can't have both the father and the daughter, the Naira, except the Gerushin, and therefore that is also why by Kiddushin she cannot accept her Kesef Kiddushin. But Rabbi Yehuda, Masha'enkin b'Kiddushin, Masha'enkin b'Gerushin mi'boile. But if it's Rabbi Yehuda, what was Rabbi Yehuda's opinion? Rabbi Yehuda's opinion was that the father and the daughter cannot accept the get. So what it should say is that while she can accept the kesef by mimer, but Masha'enkin even by a get. But Enochinami, so the Gemara says Enochinami, you could have said Masha'enkin beget, but I the katone mimer to dami the kiddushin. But since we're talking about mimer, which is similar to giving kesef kiddushin, Tananami Masha'enkin be kiddushin, which also says, right, so we also mentioned kiddushin, right, which is similar to mimer. So we said that yes, she can accept, right, the naira can accept the kesef for mimer when it's bal korcha, but that is not the case when it comes to kiddushin. Rabbi Yehuda, Maishna, mimer. Why is mimer different? How can we say that she can accept the kesef by mimer? Hov is kuka ve'omedes, because she already has a zika there, right? When Masha'enkin by kiddushin, right? When it comes to mimer, right? She was married to Reuven. Now Reuven died; they didn't have kids, so now there's a zika to Shimon. So since she's already connected to Shimon, so then she can accept the kesef kiddushin. And now that we're saying, by mimer there's a zika, Rabbi Yochanan namilo tikshilach meikara shiny mimer ho vizukuka ve'omedes. Initially, we had explained that Rabbi Yochanan says that by kiddushin the naira cannot accept the kesef kiddushin because by kiddushin she's leaving her father's house, therefore she can't accept it. Her father won't be okay with her accepting it since she's leaving his house. The question was, what about mimer where she's leaving her house? So because of that, we had to throw it out. But we say, we could say mimer is different. The reason why she could accept the kesef of mimer is because she's already zkuka ve'omedes. Tnana, ish mikadesh es bito kshinayra. Also, our Mishnah says that a fellow could be mikadesh his daughter when she's a naira. Bo v'shlucho, he could do it. His shaliach can do it. Bo v'shlucho in, bo v'shlucha lo. He or his shaliach can do it, not her or her shlucha or her shaliach. Oh. Hey, Ariel.
You recording?
Yeah.
Oh,
You want to come say hi to the people?
hi to the people.
No, I asked if you wanted to come and say hi to the people.
No, I did it from afar.
Huh?
I did it from afar.
Alright. Very good. Alright. Welcome.
Thank you.
Alright. Said you were coming at 3. You came at 2:35. You came early.
I said 3-ish.
3-ish.
2:40, I think, counts as 3-ish. Ask people to let you know in the comments.
Is it really 2:40 though?
2:38.
2:38. That's good. Alright. No, I told the people that I have that it's like a busy afternoon because, I have you coming and Sanja's coming and everybody's coming, so I was trying to squeeze it in.
I won't bother.
No, it bothered me. Alright. We gotta go weiter. Alright, there's some stuff in the fridge for you still.
Yeah, I know. I forgot. I was very upset. I left it on the counter.
Ah.
I might go put it away. But yeah, I left it on the counter. I'm going to take it.
Alright. Well, it's still there if you want it.
I'll take it tomorrow. Thanks.
Alright, I'll catch you in a bit. Okay. Tanan ish mekadesh is bito kshinayr. So a fellow could be mekadesh bito kshinayr. Nair bo v'shlucho in, bo v'shlucho lo. So he could be mekadesh his daughter when she's in Nair. She cannot be mikudeshes herself with her or her shaliach to yufta de Rish Lakish. So it's take. So there's a kasha in Rish Lakish because Rish Lakish says when it comes to kiddushin, she can accept her kiddushin. Yet, right, a naira. Yet we are making a diuk in the Mishnah. Only the father, not her, not the daughter. Omelach Rish Lakish will answer Hanami Rabbi Yehudahi. Our Mishnah is also Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is that only only the father can accept the kiddushin. She can't. Mukmas lo Rabbi Yehuda. Can you really say that our Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda v'Katani Seifa? We're going to learn in 2 days from now. If a fellow says to a fellow, be miskadeshes to me with this date, like the fruit, a date. And then he says, Iskachili bazo, and then be mikudeshes to me with this, i.e. another date. And we say over Darton, we say that because he says his kachili b'tomorrow, his kachili bazo, he said his kachi twice. So either one, right? Each one would, in order for the Kiddushin to work, one of them would have to be a Shaveh Pruta, right? Meaning if each one was half a Pruta, they don't join together. Because he said Iskachi twice, so they're two separate, proposals, and, one of those dates would have to be a Shaveh Pruta in order for the Kiddushin to work. They can't join together. V'aminon, Mantana Iskachi. Who's the one who says that they're considered separate when you say hiskachi multiple times, right? But right, because he said hiskachi twice, that is why they're considered separate. V'amar Rabba Reb Shimoni. Rabba says it's Taka Reb Shimon. So we see that the seif of the Mishnah is Reb Shimon, not Reb Yehuda. That if 5 people come to a fellow and each one makes a claim that you owe me, right, that we have a deposit by you, you have to pay us, you have to give it back to us. So if he says, shvua, lecha, so Reb Shimon says that Dafki would have to say, shvua lecha, right, unless he says shvua multiple times, or how about this? In order to be chayiv multiple korban shvuas, he would have to say shvua multiple times. But if he doesn't say shvua multiple times, then he would only be chayiv once. So here also, because he says iskachi multiple times, that's why we don't join together the dates. But if he would only say iskachi once, and then say, here's this one, so then you could join them together, and if together was a Shaveh Pruta, so then there would be Kiddushin. But because he says iskachi li bazo, iskachi bazo, right, iskachi li b'tmarzo, iskachi li bazo, if he said iskachi twice, that's why they're considered separate, they don't join together. Right? So again, to Reb Shimon the Omar ad sheyomar shvua l'chol echad ve'echad. In order for him to be chayiv multiple korban shvuas, he would have to say shvua multiple times. Mechitema kula Reb Yehuda v'frate savla Reb Shimon. Maybe you'll say no. The whole thing is Reb Yehuda. Our Mishnah, which says that a naira only the father can accept the kedusha, not the daughter. So that's Reb Yehuda. And what about the Seifa where he says it's kachi li b'tmarzo, it's kachi li bazo? Reb Yehuda agrees with Reb Shimon that he would have to specify multiple times. He agrees with Reb Shimon there, but the whole thing is Reb Yehuda. But Reb Yehuda and Reb Shimon agree when it comes to the, iskachi. Misavila. But does Reb Yehuda really hold like Reb Shimon? V'atanya. But we learn in the Brisa, Zeh klal. Kolal einu chayv elachas, peiret chayv kolachas v'achas de Reb Meir. Says Reb Meir that if he made his statement as a general rule, so it'll be chayiv once, but if he did it in a specific way, then it'll be chayiv multiple times. Rashi says that in Shavuos we explain what that means. Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Shavua lo lecha chayiv kolachas v'achas. So says Rabbi Yehuda that if what he responds to these multiple people who make claims against him, Shavua, lo lecha natu, but it only says Shavua once. Nonetheless, chayav kolachas v'achas. Or Belazar says, lo lecha v'lo lecha Shavua. He says it at the end, chayav kolachas v'achas. Reb Shimon Omer says Reb Shimon, le'olam eno chayav at sheyomar Shavua l'chol echad ve'echad. That Reb Shimon says you have to say Shavua for each person. So we see that Reb Yehuda and Reb Shimon have distinct opinions there. So Elakula Reb Shimon to Sifakert, that this Gans thing, this whole thing, our Mishnah, the next Mishnah is all Reb Shimon take. But he agrees with Rabbi Yehuda that when it comes to the father being Mikadesh's daughter, or with either him or a Shaliach, so that Rabbi Shimon agrees with Rabbi Yehuda that Ein Shtei Yodayim Zochas Kachas, and only he can accept the Kiddushin, she can't, a Naira can't. Okay, fine. So we asked the Kasha and Rish Lakish, so doesn't our Mishnah imply that the Naira cannot accept the Kiddushin? We say that one say it's Rabbi Yehuda, ultimately we said it's Rabbi Shimon, but Seder it's not, Rish Lakish would say that that's not the way that we paskin. Reb Asi lo all levei midrasha. Reb Asi didn't make it to the Beis HaMedrash, Ashkechel Reb Zera, so he saw Reb Zera, Omle says to Reb Zera, my Omer ha'idna be midrasha, nu Reb Zera, tell me what was the discussion? What were they learning about today in the Beis HaMedrash? Amalei Reb Zera says, "Afano lo ayol." He says, you know what? The truth is, Ayochid wasn't Darton. Reb Oven, who the Eilber, Reb Oven was Dartin, Ve'omar Chavrusa, and he said that all the different Chaburas in the Beis HaMedrash, Kulak Reb Yochanan, they all said that the Allah is like Reb Yochanan, that when it comes to Kiddushin, only the father can accept the Kiddushin, the Naira cannot accept her Kiddushin. V'tzavach Rish Lakish ki kruchyo, and Rish Lakish was screaming and yelling like an ostrich. Is it possible? Let me look that up before I say that he was screaming and yelling like an ostrich. Like a crane. Okay, a crane. Not an ostrich, a crane. I feel like ostriches are probably bigger than cranes, right? Are ostriches kosher? I don't know. Okay. So Rish Lakish kikruchya, okay, he was yelling and screaming like a crane. V'yatzav Aisa, he says, look, the pasuk says V'yatzav Aisa, we compare Gittin to Kiddushin to Gittin. And if by Gittin she can accept her get, so by Kiddushin she can accept her Kiddushin. V'lekad ashkach bei, nobody was paying attention to Rish Lakish. Amalei, Reb Ovin by Samcha, who? So now Reb Asi asks Reb Zera, can we rely upon Reb Ovin? Amalei, Reb Zera says, kimin yamu letignehu, he told me it immediately. It's like if you pull a fish out of the sea and put it right into the frying pan with the oil ready and everything to fry it in the frying pan. It was that, he came right out of the Beis HaMedrash and told me immediately, yes, we can rely upon it, that nothing got messed up in between. That this is what happened. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak, Ana lo Reb Oven, Reb Chia, v'lo Reb Oven by Kahana, el Reb Oven Stam. And now Rav Nachman says in this anecdote, I heard it from Reb Oven, not Reb Oven Bar Chia, Reb Chia, not Reb Oven Bar Kana, just Reb Oven. My nafkamina. Well, no, why are we saying this? Well, if we find that Reb Oven Bar Chia says something in some other place, don't say, but Reb Oven said, it's important to know which Reb Oven we're talking about. So we're saying, look, I didn't hear that it was Reb Oven Bar Chia, I didn't hear that it was Reb Oven Bar Kana, I only heard that it was Reb Oven. Ba'amine Rove mi Rav Nachman, now Rove asks Rav Nachman, Naira Mausha Taisa Shaliach Likabel Gito Miad Bailo. Oh, so we had said that according to the Chachomim, a Naira can accept her own Gerushin, her own get. So if she can accept her own get, can she appoint a Shaliach to accept the get on her behalf? So Kiyada V'Yadamyo Kuchotzer V'Yadamyo, do we treat her like the arm of her father, or like the Chatzer, like the courtyard of her father? Do we say that she's like the arm of her father, that just like her father can appoint a emissary, so also she can appoint her own emissary? Or perhaps maybe she's like her father's courtyard, and just like her father's courtyard, right, the get would have to arrive in the courtyard for her to be divorced. So here also, she's only divorced once the get arrives to her. She cannot make a shaliach. Does Rava really have a doubt? Is he really uncertain if she's considered like her father's arm or her father's chotzer? Obviously, she is not like her father's chotzer. Rava says, that if a fellow writes a get and gives it to his wife's eved, and the eved is sleeping and she is guarding the eved, so I raise a get, then it's a good valid get. But if the eved is awake, Eino get, it is not a valid get. Neyor amayanu get, if the eved is awake, why is it not a valid get? Because her eved, which is her property, is considered like her chotzer. And if her eved is awake, well then the eved has his own das. And therefore, it's considered like a chotzer that is not being guarded by her, but guarded by, she's not the one guarding it, right? Because the eved has his own das. So here also, and if you say that the daughter is considered like the chotzer of her father, kimata gita liyada nami, but when she receives the get, it should not be a kosher get. Lo tigarish, she should not be divorced. If we're saying that she is like the chotzer of her father, but since she has her own das, it would be like a chotzer that is not being guarded by her father, and it would not be considered like her father's chotzer, and she would not be divorced. So elul olam pshita le dichi yad of yadam. So it must be that she is like the yad of her father, like the arm of her father. When we're asking is is she as strong as her father's arm, that just like her father can appoint a shaliach, she oichit can appoint a shaliach olo, or not? Maybe she can't appoint a shaliach. Amalei eina osa shaliach. Rav Nachman says a naira cannot appoint a shaliach to receive or get on her behalf. Eisvei. Rav Nachman asked, Rav asked Rav Nachman a kasha. Ketana she'omris kabeli giti eino get ad she'yagia get liyada. A ketana who's married and she appoints a shaliach to accept her get on her behalf, she is not divorced until she herself receives the get, because she can't appoint a shaliach. Ha naira harez a get, implying, but a naira, it would be a good get. If a naira appoints a shaliach, it would be a good get. So Achav Mayaskinon, here what are we talking about? B'she'ein la'av. Well, the naira can only appoint a shaliach because she doesn't have a father. If her father was alive, she would not be able to appoint a shaliach. Homediktani seifa im amar lo avia tzevekabel get leviti im otzabal lachzor bo lo yachzor. But in the seifa of the Brisa, it says that if her father says to a shaliach, go and receive the get on behalf of my daughter, so then when the shaliach receives the get, the daughter is divorced, and therefore, I read that again, that therefore if the husband, once the shaliach receives the get, who was sent by her father, once the shaliach receives the get, the husband can no longer renege, because she's already divorced. So it does sound like we're talking about where her father is alive, and still we're saying that a naira can appoint a shaliach. We're saying that the Brisa is missing a few words. This is how to explain it. Ketana she'omru hiskaba li giti. If a ketana says to tries to appoint a shaliach and says, receive my get, eino get ad she'egia get liyada, she's not divorced until she herself receives it. She can't appoint a shaliach. Ha naira, but a naira, raise a get, it would be a valid get. She can appoint a shaliach. But when is this said? Only if she doesn't have a father can she appoint a shaliach. Aval yesh la'av. But if she does have a father, and the father says to a shaliach, go and receive the get on behalf of my daughter, well then the father, once he gives the get to the shaliach, would be unable to renege. Friends, we're going to stop here. And Daf Mem Daled Amud Beis, also this gets to a new topic, and also I'm a little bit all over the place. So we're going to stop over here. We talked today about, can a naira receive her own kesef kiddushin? We had a machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan says no, she cannot accept her own kesef kiddushin. Rish Lakish says yes, she can accept her own kesef kiddushin, and that led to other sugyas. It's a very interesting question, right? Because the naira has das, so you would think that she should be able to accept her kesef kiddushin. So we see it's taka a machlokas. Then we said that by gittin, we asked Akasha about by gittin, where she can accept her get, can she make a shaliach? Sounds like she can only do that if her father is not alive. Friends, that is Daf Mem Daled Masechta Kiddushin. I hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow we will learn Daf Mem Hey, Be'ezer Hashem. Until then, peace out.